I'm joined now by bass Richard Bernstein, who plays Nefertiti's father. Baritone Will Liverman, who plays General Horemhab, and tenor Aaron Blake, who sings the High Priest of Hammon. Hello, gentlemen, and your headdresses.
Hi, Joyce.
Hello.
These are some extraordinary costumes. I mean, up close, it's unbelievable, not to mention the makeup. I'm a little jealous. I'm taking notes. Tell us about these, and what are the challenges of using them and showing them and singing with them?
That's such a good question. I mean, these are obviously a little bit heavier pieces than we would wear in everyday life.
Yeah.
So it takes a little bit of time to get used to carrying them around. And I have this fab cape, so I get to show it off to the audience a few times.
Yes, you do. You've got a little snake on the top of yours, Will.
Yeah. I would second what he says about the jacket's a little heavy, so it kind of brings your posture down. So you have to remember to, stay up and maintain good posture.
You've got the perfect phonetic vision of vocalizing that the voice is coming out the top of your head.
I think my costume feels fabulous. I mean, it was
Yeah.
designed brilliantly
Totally.
by Kevin Pollard.
I love them.
The hat symbolizes fear and death. You don't really see it in this, but his backstory is very political. He actually becomes the pharaoh after Tutankhamun dies and actually take it over. We have a war.
Yep.
So
I get it after you.
The costume helps.
Yeah.
I love it. It's Richard, you're one of the go-to artists here at the Met, having sung an astonishing 34 different roles over the years. How does this one become memorable for you? How does it stand apart?
Oh, that's a very easy question. I've made some really wonderful new friends, these two gentlemen right here.
Yeah.
It's such an ensemble piece. We've had this incredible rehearsal process that second to none, really, working with Phelan McDermott and, with all the collaborators and just getting to know everyone and just airing any potential difficulties, and we're all helping each other. We all meet before the show and we talk.
Yeah,
So,
this is the magic of Phelan. He creates this family atmosphere that's safe and that everybody has to really trust each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Will, this production requires singers who move in this very slow, stylized way, which of course fits the music perfectly.
Yeah.
I'm saying it sort of expands in this way that is just extraordinary.
Yeah.
What's your approach to integrating the movement so that the singing and all just feels organic?
For me, I'd say it really, the things I do really, I go off of what Aaron and Richard do, honestly, because it is an ensemble piece, and even though we have our individual characters within that, we're always together and we kind of move as a unit. So whenever I feel Aaron doing something, I sort of, play off that and connect with what he's doing, and just we feel each other's energies and sort of create something new each time. Honestly, it's different every time we do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that.
That was also part of the exercises we did with Phelan about feeling each other's energy while we were moving through the space.
Yeah.
See, these are things you don't normally get in the opera world, and it shows. What we see there is something so cohesive and really extraordinary between the three of you. Aaron, you play the High Priest.
I do.
So these lines that you're singing, really, how do they contribute to the rituals that are such an important part of this production?
That's such a good question, Joyce. My music and our music is very meditative.
Yeah.
It's repetitive. And we use syllables from various languages, ancient languages, that lend itself to this very religious, ceremonial type of presentation. And then in the scene that I'm getting ready to do in Act 2, we're actually going to be performing a ritual of kind of re-invoking the reign of Amenhotep. So I say Amen 33 times with the men's chorus. And it has a double meaning. It's both Amen, the blessing, and then Amen, Amenhotep, please come back and help us. We're in trouble.
Oh, we're going to make sure we tune into that.
Terrific.
In the act coming up. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank
I hope
you
you have
so
a lot
much.
of photos in these, in
Yes,
these pictures.
they're the
I'm sure your
best.
kids are loving
They're
it.
loving it.
I love it. Thank you guys so
Thank you,
much.
Joyce.
Thank you. Philip Glass's connection to the Metropolitan Opera House dates back to 1976 with the presentation of his acclaimed Einstein on the Beach. And each time this eminent composer's work is presented here, it's a major event. And the response to Akhnaten has been overwhelming. But I have to say, as exciting as it is to see this big opera on the big screen, of course it can't compare to experience its spellbinding rhythms and this magnificent production here inside the Opera House. Nothing compares to live opera. So please come to the Met or visit your local opera company and bring a first-timer to introduce them to this wondrous world of opera. Whether it's a modern masterpiece like Akhnaten or a repertory classic, the Met is committed to presenting the world's greatest singers in a wide range of styles at the absolute highest artistic level. But staging incomparable productions and sharing them with a global audience comes at a tremendous expense. Ticket sales cover just a small portion of the costs. So the Met relies on opera lovers from around the world, like you, for your support. You can help us continue to offer unforgettable performances by becoming a member of the Met. To join or make a contribution, call us at 1-800-MET-OPERA or visit us at metopera.org/membership. Now, I have the extreme pleasure of speaking with the head of the Met's costume shop, Elisa Iberti, who will introduce us to Kevin Pollard's really extraordinary designs for Akhnaten. Hello, Elisa. Hi. Lovely to see you. This is such an arresting production, and it's made even more dazzling by the really extravagant, extraordinary costumes by Kevin. Do you and your team, I mean, you must get extra inspired when you see these designs come across your desk and you get to start working on them.
With working with Kevin, it's always this amazing discovery. Like, we never know what he has up his sleeve. So this is just his imagination. It's an homage to the period. I mean, you can sort of read this like a hieroglyphic of itself.
Yeah.
And his found objects. I mean, from stage, this glistens, you know, and then up close you have this little discovery of all these little components that he's sort of cobbled together.
One of my favorite quotes from Kevin during The Enchanted Island was, "Honey, Joyce, more is more." And in this case, in this production of Egypt, I mean, it holds true. What we have here, tell us a little bit about this costume and its extraordinary details, because especially with the HD camera, I mean, we really get to zoom in and see
basically, this is the robe, the centerpiece for Akhnaten. And when I spoke with Kevin in detail about this, if you sort of zoom in on all of these little doll heads and all the gems that are here, I mean, he has sort of stacked this with sort of the iconography or the storytelling that's going on stage. And he sort of created this world of a timelessness, which we'll sort of see when it becomes more of a prop, sort of in the end. But it tells the story of Egypt and discovery. And it's really based too on some classic Elizabethan costume research, because there is a hoop underneath it, and he wanted to tie the two times together.
Oh, I love it. How much does this weigh?
I'm going to say it's somewhere between 30 and 40 pounds.
Oh,
So
this is why we singers stay in such good shape. We have to walk these around all the time. Okay, now I have to ask you.
But I will say that most people don't even know about the weight because they're so thrilled to wear it.
Yeah, absolutely. Who wouldn't be? The baby heads? The doll heads with the jewel eyes?
Yes.
What is this? Is just unbelievable.
I really think that it's meant to sort of symbolize the populace. And people sort of looking up to the new pharaoh, and also just in general. I think the other thing about this, the whole production, is Kevin wanted to translate with the team that initial discovery, like in 1934, when they were unearthing the tombs. And this was something, I mean, we know about it now, but when it was happening, it was sort of this amazing display of wealth.
Elisa, on behalf of everybody watching, thank you for the dedicated work of you and your team. You guys are in the midst of hundreds of costumes, thousands of costumes. And to pull this off for us is just a feast. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
By the end of the first act, Akhnaten has assumed his throne and announced his plans for a new monotheistic religion. Now it's time for him to set his plans in motion. Here is Act 2 of Akhnaten.
which comes forth from thy mouth. I behold thy beauty every day. It is my desire that I may be rejuvenated with life through love of thee. Give me thy hands, holding thy spirit, that I may receive it and may live by it. Call thou upon my name unto eternity, and it shall never fail. I breathe the sweet breath which comes forth from thy mouth. I behold thy beauty every day. It is my desire that I may be rejuvenated with life through love of thee. Give me thy hands, holding thy spirit, that I may receive it and may live by it. Call thou upon my name unto eternity, and it shall never fail. And his majesty said unto them, Ye behold the city of the horizon of the Akhnaten, which the Akhnaten has desired me to make for him as a monument in the great name of my majesty forever. For it was the Akhnaten my father that brought me to this city of the horizon. There was not a noble who directed me to it. There was not any man in the whole land who led me to it, saying, It is fitting for his majesty that he make a city of the horizon of Akhnaten in this place. Nay, but it was the Akhnaten my father that directed me to make it for him. Behold, the Pharaoh found that this site belonged not to a god nor to a goddess. It belonged not to a prince nor to a princess. There was no right for any man to act as owner of it. I will make the city of the horizon for the Akhnaten my father in this place. I will not make the city south of it, north of it, west of it, or east of it. I will not pass beyond the southern boundary stone southward, neither will I pass beyond the northern boundary stone northward to make for him a city of the horizon there. Neither will I make for him a city on the western side. Nay, but I will make the city of the horizon for the Akhnaten my father upon the east side, the place for which he did enclose for his own self with cliffs, and made a plain in the midst of it, that I might sacrifice to him thereon. This is it. Neither shall the queen say unto me, Behold, there is a goodly place for the city of the horizon in another place, and I hearken unto her. Neither shall any noble nor any man in the whole land say unto me, Behold, there is a goodly place for the city of the horizon in another place, and I hearken unto them. Whether it be downstream, or southward, or westward, or eastward, I will not say I will abandon this city of the horizon.
Janae, brava. You're on cloud nine. I have to say, it's hard to come and start this interview after we've just been suspended from the start of the second act, really from the start of the opera. But it's so beautiful to behold this marriage of this staging and this music. And this is how you're making your Metropolitan Opera debut in this really historic production here, playing a legendary queen.
Okay.
I read that Nefertiti actually played a role in your childhood.
Absolutely. Growing up in Tacoma, Washington State, that is, there weren't necessarily a lot of African images that we saw. So my family made it a point to have African art, African symbols, music, and Nefertiti was a big icon in my household. And so making my Met debut in this iconic role feels really just so right. And
At home,
and
in
at
a way.
home, I feel her. She's with me.
And that you've actually, now you get to incarnate her in this way when she's been a part of you from the beginning. It's so beautiful.
Thank you. Wow.
You grew up, as you said, in Tacoma, Washington. And I love this. You were the captain of your high school basketball team. So I'm curious, like, how did opera beat out the basketball?
Well, I was kind of forced to make a decision. It was a very unfortunate circumstance where my coach at the time said, I'm not going to play you because you chose singing over basketball. So I said, well, you know, since you can't guarantee that you're going to play me further, I can guarantee you that this will be the last day of my competitive basketball career. And it was a difficult time, but I would say that I made the right decision in the end.
Yeah, I think we would all agree with that. Absolutely. Isn't that funny how sometimes the biggest tragedies grow into something that
So I'm thankful.
put you on the path? Yeah.
It is, yeah.
Some people refer to you as the Beyonce of opera. Can we get the wind machine in? Wind machine, please. Tell us about that. You put a ring on it.
Yes, exactly. Well, it kind of caught phrase a few years ago, and, you know, I thought, do I like this? Beyonce is Beyonce. She is in a realm of her own, and I've admired her since I was a little girl.
Yeah.
So at first I was a little bit hesitant, but, you know, it kept coming. I couldn't stop it, and so at this point, I fully embrace it. I am channeling every queen with this role, and she is at the top of the list.
I love it because it's this kind of popular reference that sometimes people outside the classical world, it gives us context.
Absolutely.
But to be sure, there is no other Janae Bridges. I mean, you don't need another title as well.
Thank you so much.
Now, we asked social media followers a few questions, and we've got one starting with Jessica Costello in London.
Oh, wow.
And she asks,
I know her.
Do you?
I do.
Oh, well, that's no fair, but we're going to still ask
sorry,
it.
okay.
Because maybe she knows the answer. How do you feel as someone who graduated from the Manhattan School of Music, who's returning now to the Big Apple to make your Met debut? Is it a real pinch me moment?
It really is. What a beautiful question. I graduated from Manhattan School of Music 10 years ago this year, and so it just feels so full circle. I remember buying the cheap seats, scraping all of my pennies just to be able to sit at the top of the house, and
now you see it from this vantage point.
And now I see it from this vantage point, and it's just, I'm so grateful and thankful to everyone that has helped me on this journey. It's really a dream come true, to say the least.
Well, I'm sure this is the first of many, and we look forward to it all.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you.
I'm so thankful.
Thank you so much.
You.
And I know Tacoma, all of Tacoma is watching.
All of Tacoma. Shout out to my parents, my family, and Tacoma. Thank you. And the world. Thank you for tuning in.
The world. Thank you, Janae. Thank you so
Joyce.
much.
Thank you.
And now the moment we've all been waiting for, my good friend and the astonishing talent, Anthony Roth Costanzo. I'm having a hard time looking at you.
I can't look at you, Joyce.
No,
I love you so much.
I love you because what you're doing here is just, it's extraordinary. And I almost hesitate to sort of break the spell, but you've lived with Akhnaten for so long.
Can I just tell you one thing? I'm standing here on the stage holding your hand and remembering one of the first things I did here at the Enchanted Island, and we were here, and I finished my aria, and you were holding my hand like this, and you squeezed it.
Yeah.
And then you turned to me and said, "Don't move."
Take the applause.
Take the applause.
And boy, did they applaud.
Thank you.
Yeah, and here we are a few days later, still covered in gold paint.
Covered in gold paint.
and gold leaf. You've just finished really one of the opera world's most gorgeous arias, but still unknown to the general opera-loving population, not any longer after today. Would it be fair to ask if this is the pinnacle moment of the opera for you?
It definitely is, and it's a tightrope walk, which is what makes it so exciting, and it's so personal. You know, it's the only thing in the opera in English, and it's because Akhnaten, I feel, is having a prayer with his God by himself, so we hear his thoughts. And after this temple scene of clubs flying and ha 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 ha, and then this very difficult duet with interweaving lines, all of a sudden it's just me, vulnerable out there,
And you float across the stage.
Oh, thank you.
When you're climbing these stairs at the end, what's in your head? What are you thinking?
You know, there's a couple things. Like all opera singers, I have 10% of me focused on the technique, which
Yeah.
means foot and then raise
Step.
and then step and then don't fall and then your foot is on your dress. But the other part of me, I look up and I feel the light of the sun on my face, and it feels, not to sound corny, but like I'm in Egypt. And I feel, before the show today, I was thinking of the ancient spirits that inspired this opera and that are then channeled and released through us today. So it's kind of exciting stuff.
That reminds me of a social media question that we have that I want to ask you, and it's from Simona Botas, Anthony Roth Costanzo. Do you remember being Akhnaten in a previous life?
Aha! You know, sometimes I feel this great, deep connection to the character. It feels like the culmination of everything I've prepared for in my life, all the education, all the experience I've had, is somehow embodied in this role.
Yeah.
And that's
It's
so
not
rare.
just the singing, it's everything.
It's a Gesamtkunstwerk.
Yeah, I love this. Cynthia Wilcox.
Yeah.
Anthony, we've heard about the painful waxing sessions you've endured for your role as Akhnaten. Is this, or what is the most extreme thing you've done in order to achieve your best in an opera?
I would say this. I mean, the waxing is actually how I became a countertenor to begin with. Just kidding. If
Mental
people ask
note
you,
to
mental
self,
note, that's
yeah.
how you do it. No, there's a lot that is involved in this. And the question is why? That's what I asked the director. Why be naked? Why be waxed? Why shave my head? And he said, because you, for 3 hours, have to take us somewhere different, and you have to be somewhere different yourself. So when I go to the grocery store, I feel like an alien. But when I step on this stage, dressed like this, I feel like Akhnaten.
And when we see you, we immediately know this is someone almost otherworldly.
That's right.
And vulnerable.
Yes, I
And
think the
vulnerable.
vulnerability that comes with power is something we don't think about. We just think about these great leaders and them forcing their way. But some of them are great, some of them are evil. No matter what, there is this thought process and what's going on in their head, and that's what I'm thinking about.
That's why this is so timely. Anthony, thank you. I know
Joyce.
all of us who love you, we're so proud of you for this moment.
I love you to pieces. Thank you, Joyce. Mwah.
Give me some gold leaf, baby.
Mwah. Oh yeah, you got gold
leaf.
all over you. Bye, Joyce.
Philip Glass's opera has no violins, which is a story in itself. I welcome now the Met violist, who is finding himself in the unusual position of concertmaster, Milan Milisafievich. I totally messed up your name.
It perfectly.
No, perfectly.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Hi, Joyce. How are you? Thank you.
I'm going to have a confession now. The viola, this is not a joke, is actually, other than the cello, my favorite instrument. And it's extraordinary. Here you are in the pit. Philip Glass famously tells the story that the orchestra had to be small because of its debut in Stuttgart, 1984. So he comes up with the idea of putting the violas in charge. How does this feel?
It definitely feels unusual, but also really fun. I would say one unusual thing about it is that we don't sit in our usual place in the pit, because normally our seating is, I would say, usually always exactly the same.
Yeah.
But now we're sitting usually where the first violins are, and we kind of have a more prominent role. All the strings are on one side. What I have to do personally is tune the orchestra. Plus, I have to, play the role of mediator and somebody who makes sure that everything is running smoothly and the communication between the conductor and the orchestra is running well, which is the concertmaster's job.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I think it's really fun. It's really fun.
This orchestra also, it's the first time playing this score. It's very demanding for concentration, etc. But what are some of the specific things that you all are trying to create in the pit?
I think it's a lot about this kind of sense of kinetic energy, a lot like what the acrobats are doing on stage. You just you have to get into this groove, There is there is a lot of notes, and a lot of it is quite hard to play, but you have to really relax and get into the zone, I would say, so that you can really kind of be in the groove of things.
But like Anthony was saying, without losing that 10% of concentration.
Oh, yeah.
Because that would be
absolutely
disastrous,
Absolutely.
I think.
It's actually, honestly, it's not difficult to get lost. You have to really pay attention to where you are, because there's a lot of repetitive figures, and they just kind of create this energy that we kind of try to enjoy and flow with.
We feel that.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Last night, we're going to change subjects just a little bit, but I had the incredible joy of sharing the stage at Carnegie Hall with our new music director here, Yannick Nézet-Séguin. And so I just want to know what it's been like. This is his first season here. He's stepping into that position. What is it feeling with him at the helm of the company?
I think Yannick is just incredible. I mean, I've met very few people like him. His energy is so contagious. He loves music. He gives it his best all the time. I mean, he's been like a real breath of fresh air at the Met, and we're so grateful to have him. I simply love working with him.
I agree. I have yet to find anybody who feels remotely less than enthusiastic.
Oh, yeah. He walks into a room, he walks into the hall, and just the whole place just lifts up.
Yeah.
The atmosphere of the rehearsal
joy
is
incarnate.
amazing. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And great
Well,
musician.
thank you so much. Welcome to the
Joyce.
leading of the orchestra.
Yeah,
We're
it's
enjoying
been fun.
it
It's been
so
fun.
much.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it too. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you. The Met's Live in HD series is made possible thanks to its founding sponsor, the Neubauer Family Foundation. Digital support is provided by Bloomberg Philanthropies. The Met Live in HD series is supported by Rolex. We'll be back after a break.